So I'm on my way to watch Death of a Unicorn, and the traffic is crazy. But I just wanted to spill out some predictive thoughts before I go watch it. I'm hearing a lot of mixed reviews. I had made up my mind to not go watch it because it just looks like the trailer gives the entire thing away, and you already kind of know what it is. It's strained father-daughter relationship, and they're gonna go through a bunch of shit that's gonna bring them together and closer and to a new understanding of each other by the end of the film. The villains of the movie, the obviously evil, one-dimensional, wealthy characters, are all gonna meet their ends in gruesome, over-the-top, maybe comedic ways, and they'll be dead by the end of the film. It's going to be a good ending, as in the unicorn is going to survive, and it's going to be this message about humanity winning out over greed and profit and whatnot. And I don't know, it just, going into it, my expectations are quite low. I feel like there's not going to be any surprise in there. I have this feeling that I'm going to walk out of it like thinking it's going to be a movie I'm going to forget very soon. It's not going to be memorable. But let me not be so, and I'll give it a shot. And yeah, I will see y'all in an hour and 48 minutes. Hey y'all, so I made the mistake of opening Instagram, and Quincy the dog died. It really threw me off as I was about to record the rest of this review. I hate to see the purity of animals lost, which is a good segue because Death of a Unicorn, let's get into it. Death of a Unicorn was exactly what I thought it would be. I went into it with those questions about the message and commentary on Big Pharma and profit and greed and all that and whatnot. It ain't that serious. It wasn't that deep. It was not that deep. In fact, this movie is very, very pretty shallow and quite predictable. It's as straightforward as rich people bad, greedy, rich people care not for nature, rich people will degrade and desecrate nature as a means to an end. They treat nature as a means to an end, and to me that's a very valid and worthy message of being put in movies, because we should have a little bit more respect and reverence for nature. Jenna Ortega's character in the movie, she's an art history major, and she studies some tapestries of unicorns, and she says how back in the day unicorns were seen as almost like a metaphor for Jesus Christ, that sort of like purity figure, and an angle on the corruption of mankind, which is, that's basically what this movie is. I mean, they chopped off its horn, they drained it of its blood, they made it into food, they made it into steaks for the patriarch of the family. The son was putting the blood of it in drinks, like mixing it like it was a mixer, like truly, eating of the flesh and drinking of the blood going on, and that sort of allegory there. It was a baby unicorn that had gotten run over, and it was the parents of the unicorns that were coming after the people. I liked that angle. I wasn't expecting that. I first thought that they ran over a unicorn, and then somehow, because it doesn't die, it just resuscitates, but evil and dark, and I thought that's what that was, but it ended up actually being a pure white baby unicorn. And when we meet these parents, which, by the way, the designs of the unicorns are badass. They're so beautiful. They're magnificent looking. They did a good job. CGI, obviousness and all, I did enjoy the design of the beasts, and that's going to be my biggest takeaway, because it won't be the plot. The performances were fine. The deaths in the movie were, they were gory, they were violent. I like the contrast of a unicorn committing such gruesome brutality. Very satisfying deaths in this movie. There was one I was torn about, but at the end of the day, I didn't feel too bad about it, because the person that got killed in this very brutal way was the person that had a hand in the degrading of the baby corpse, and she also cut off its horn. So even though she had a little moment with Paul Rudd, she was telling him, hey, we got to take care of our own, because if we wait on these wealthy people to do it, it ain't never gonna happen. And so I was kind of like, oh, so she's for the people, but at the end of the day, bitch, you did what you did, and you got what was coming to ya, because those parents were furious. rightfully so. You can't just assume that you can do whatever you want. It's that aspect, that commentary, this moral imperative that they were on about to study the unicorn and conquer the land and conquer its tribe, conquer the species in order to further the progress, the scientific progress and advancement of humanity. And so using that as a sort of justification to pillage, to conquer, to colonize, I liked that aspect of it. You know, I hate the buzzwords being thrown around, all that Gen Z stuff, whatever, and that was what Jenna Ortega's character was, very much the stand-in for that. And she made a point about calling them, the wealthy people, fascists. And if we just follow that through line and extend that outwards and we get a little political with it and we mirror it to our real world, there are people out there that will find a way to very prettily paint a picture that looks red with pigment that is actually blood. The tapestry is woven with red blood, not red fiber. And they're just worried about the tapestry containing and encapsulating their legacy and their great movements as men and women, you know, like it's an ego stroke thing. I'm not saying it's not good to be driven and persevering and enterprising, but there's got to be a line there because you don't exist in a vacuum, and if you have no respect for the lines in the world, I don't know. I just realized that AZ was on the whole time. I hope the audio isn't bad. This isn't going to be a very memorable movie, aside from the fact that the unicorn kills were cool and the unicorn design was really cool. But other than that, maybe a good rental movie, honestly. Anyway, thanks y'all for watching this review. I really just wanted to have a movie night, and even though it has been a dry spell, I was like, let me give this a chance. And, well, at least now I get to make content out of it, so... And it wasn't that bad. It was entertaining and amusing enough, although it did have me checking my clock a little bit because I was like, this is starting to feel a little long. Let's get to it, because you know where it's going the whole time. You already know. And in that way, I don't appreciate the movie, that it didn't really surprise me, but it was just very formulaic. And anyway, I'm gonna drop it. I did letterbox it at 2 stars. That feels about correct. So anyway, thanks y'all. Have a good night, and happy streaming, happy watching, happy listening.